Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to our webinar, which we are hosting from Russell Khaimah on the 7th of March. Yes, 7th of March. I recall that when we were planning to start the weight loss challenge, which happens to be in this instance during the holy month of Ramadan, we got a lot of queries, especially from the press, which asked us, is this a good idea? And in our mind, from a scientific perspective, we, as medical professionals, we saw the relationship between fasting, Ramadan, and losing weight. And we said, well, obviously during Ramadan, there would be some weight loss in view of the fasting. And the weight loss challenge is directed towards weight loss. So there seems to be some compatibility in these ideas. And in principle, it was approved that we should go ahead with the challenge during this period. But in my mind, I was never clear whether there was, in fact, any correlation or relationship between these two. And I am deeply grateful that today we have a specialist, Ruba, chief of dietetics in RAC Hospital. We have a specialist who is able to, who will be able to explain something about this. However, I have to hasten to tell you that Ruba's topic today, as she has mentioned to us, is the science of weight loss. But my request to her, she being an experienced professional in the area of dietetics, is to touch upon a wee bit on the relationship, if any, the benefits of any between our Ramadan period, the fasting and Roja, or the impact of the iftar, the fact that during Ramadan we do not eat at all from sunrise to sunset, but thereafter we eat. What are the profound impacts of all of this on the human body and on weight loss? And I might hasten to add also that a large population of Christians also have what they refer to as Lent, during which there is fasting, and it is during the same period. So this complex of thoughts I would like to leave with our experienced speaker, Ruba, to enable her to help us out. Now, friends, Ruba is an experienced speaker in our webinar. In fact, she is one of the moving spirits behind our weight loss challenge. She's a professional coach and a health coach and specializes in normal and therapeutic diets. She deals with inpatients and outpatients, with cardiovascular diseases, hyperlipidemia, with post-surgery. She also does the more routine aspects of weight management, sports nutrition, in addition to handling, of course, endocrinic disorders. She deals with all age groups, from young children to lactating mothers to the older population. She is a member of several professional associations, the American Academy of Nutrition, the Nutrition Association of the UAE, and also the the Emirates Medical and Dietetics Association. Personally, I have found Rupa's uh, sessions to be extremely informative. I have found them to be extremely informative, and I look forward eagerly to the session with Ms. Ruba El Haroni, the head of Department of Dietetics in our RAC hospital. Ruba, ma'am, your brilliance for the next half an hour. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy, for the lovely introduction. I'm sure that today's session will reflect very positively on all of us, not only the participants. So let me share the slides. Okay. So our topic today is very important indeed, um, as a change for not only a period of time, for a whole lifestyle change, a whole lifetime. And we know that there are so many strategies nowadays, as the social media is very wide, and we can hear and see a lot of let's say new interventions, whether is it scientifically based or not. I'm here today to clarify the most important things that you should be aware in terms of losing the weight. So I will guide you through initially through the risk factors associated with being obese or overweight, and I will walk you through how we interpret body image ourselves, what are the main common mistakes while losing the weight, and we will cater a little bit about the definition of metabolism and the principles of caloric intake and the most sustainable strategies for losing the weight. As a start, we know that idle weight is the optimal weight associated with the maximum life expectancy given as height. Before, we used to refer to the weight, let's say, category or the weight interpretation by using the BMI. To quantify the obesity itself, where the total body water, that can fall above 20% of the ideal body weight is considered obesity, while any percentage between 1 to 20 or 1 to 19 precisely can be linked to being overweight. And it's very important to highlight that today there are 600 million, as an estimate of people worldwide are considered obese, among of which 13% of the adults, and then 1 in every 5 children are considered obese. And it is today responsible for 4.7 million premature deaths every year. It is associated with so many risk factors, highlighting the most importantly nowadays very common, having fluctuation in the blood sugar, heart disease, sleep apnea, elevation in the blood cholesterol and the blood pressure, and it can be also increasing the risk for certain cancers and a lot of mental or health problems. Usually, when we want to determine the appropriate weight for us, we have to understand that a lot of factors influence that, starting from the height of the person, the way the body is structured, whether what is the, let's say, the image or the look, the appearance of the body. It could be oval, it could be pear-shaped, it could be apple-shaped. So it's very important to know the structure and how the weight is distributed. Is it accumulated in the middle area or around the upper arms, and mostly the ratio of the lean tissues of the body fat. Referring to the weight chart, mainly according to each height, there is an estimate for both females and males of the proper weight worldwide. But again, this is just an estimate of the height, the weight according to the height, leaving behind the muscle mass itself. The weight tables give acceptable ranges, where the low end of range for the low ratio of lean mass to fat mass, and high end of the range for more muscular body. So lean body mass consists of muscles, bones, body water, cellular elements, and organs. And we know that the fats are very essential and takes part in a lot of metabolic, our metabolism, and a lot of process in our body. And it takes around 3 and 15% of the total body weight. So sometimes we cannot call a person that has a healthy weight with a healthy BMI healthy in terms of the fat stores if it is above the range, if it is above 15% for men and above 22% for women. When we assess the fat level using the BMI, it doesn't always reflect the true composition of the body, because it's just basically studying the relationship between the height and weight. And the value that any value falls between 19 and 25 indicates that a person is having healthy weight, whereas above 30 is considered obese. The limitation, as very muscular people or people with a high muscular body structure, they will definitely fall into overweight category depending on their weight itself. Where underweight people also may be in healthy weight category yet considered very thin, they can actually have a good muscle mass. So we always tend to look into the whole body composition, precisely, not only on the weight itself. But another way to estimate if the body has high fat levels without using any machine is considering the waist to hip ratio as a value that tells us if the person is having a lot of fat accumulated or adipose tissues are actually higher than it should be. It's a measure of the regional fat distributions. Usually we measure the waist to the hip, and then if the ratio is higher than it should be, it's linked to increased risk factor of diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and other diseases. Men and most postmenopausal women, they store fat in the upper abdominal and the arm and chest area, where premenopausal women store the fat in the lower region, typically in the hips and the buttocks and the thighs. Usually, if it is for men, if it is greater than 40 inches, it's considered high. And if it is above 35 inches for women, it's considered high. Losing the weight can be challenging actually for some people. Sometimes you might feel like you are making healthy lifestyle, healthy life choices, but you are still not getting the results that you want. This could be because of a deficiency or a lack in the strategies that you are following. Certain common mistakes will, for example, is, as I mentioned, focusing only on the number of the weight itself, but sometimes neglecting the measurement changes in the waist or in other part. This typically happens when we do not exercise or we don't combine exercising with dieting. At itself, it is a highly influence on the weight, being on diet, but not to neglect that exercise has a very big influence and impact on losing the weight properly. Sometimes when a person is trying to lose weight, will go into a calorie deficit diet, which means restricting the calorie way below than he should and than he needs. So at a certain point, yes, he will lose weight, but later on, he either might go into a weight plateau or gain back all the weight that he has lost. It's very common also among people to focus on while doing the shopping, um, and if they search actually for the food labels, which is very important during purchasing our food items. Neglecting the total components of the product and focusing on the word low fat or low in sugar alone. And we all know that it is all sold as a marketing strategy to attract the customers. So being aware of how to read the food label is very important, and not to neglect the other components in the food product. So sometimes we know that low fat items actually are high in sugar or having so many additives to alter the taste. So let's be aware of that. And knowing also the total caloric needs that you are consuming and burning during the day, during the exercise, is very important, as if we don't track our calories, this will not actually help us to lose weight efficiently. Some diets are deficient in certain food products. Some diets are deficient in protein. It's a very important component and a food group of a meal. As we know, the protein takes longer time to be digested. It will influence the feeling of satiety. It will help mobilize our blood sugar and will definitely help us to maintain our muscle mass by following a lower calorie diet. Not adding or not consuming also a proper amount of fiber from food, which mainly found in whole wheat products and fruits and vegetables, influence our weight loss by contributing to being or having constipation. Sometimes we are losing weight, but it's not showing because we are constipated, because we are following wrong diet or diet that is less in fiber. So this is very important to take it into consideration. Being on random diets, very low calorie or very low carbs or very high protein, just not studying or coming back to your physician or physical or health provider to consult about a proper diet will definitely influence you in somehow. Focusing on the long-term health and habits that you can stick with over time will definitely help improve your health and are more likely to result in long-lasting weight loss. So calories, emphasizing on calories and linking it to the metabolism, we know that the weight loss is more than just a number. Weight loss, actually, when we talk about weight loss, most people immediately think of dieting, exercise, and the pursuit of specific number on the scale, as I mentioned. But weight loss is more intricate and multidimensional than merely shedding the pounds itself. Weight loss refers to the reduction in the total body mass resulting from combination of losing the fat, sustaining the muscles, and having good fluid or balanced body fluids. Its significant permeates both physically health, like reductions in the risk of heart diseases, diabetes, bone problems, and mental well-being overall. So what does it mean? Talking about the definition itself, calorie, the units of energy we obtain from food, the power every functions and movement of our bodies. Metabolism, on the other hand, represents the complex web process by which our bodies convert these calories into usable energy. Together, they form the bedrock of how and we gain or lose or maintain weight. So, in another word, a calorie, it's a nutritional term. It's a unit that measures the energy that we consume or that we burn. Specifically, it is defined as the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. Our body definitely needs energy, and it is provided by the calories to function, which we directly get provided by consuming food. The energy that we don't use immediately gets stored for later use, either as fat or long-term storage, or as a glycogen in the liver and the muscles for short-term use. So what is the principle? What are the principles of caloric intake and metabolism? We know that we should acknowledge the outset, while the principles of calorie intake metabolism are universal, and the person is deeply it is individualized, not it is based on several factors, being male or female, on the typically on the lifestyle, if it is we having a sedentary lifestyle or more active, the age of the person, and the gut health as well, not to neglect this important factor. So balancing the intake and expenditure. As a result, if we consume more than the calories that we need, we will gain weight. But if we consume calories that are less than we need, we will lose weight, okay? And it is considered more calories than our body actually needed can or may influence our muscle mass, so we have to be very careful about where it's coming. So how can we calculate it? Very simple way, using the BMR, a method that it's called the basal metabolic rate, which is the minimum number of calories required for the basic functions. Depends also on our age, as we mentioned, height and weight, for men or women as a gender. So after we calculate the BMR, we multiply it with the amount of physical activity, how fit we are or how much we are exercising, and this is the reference. So for example, if we are sedentary, using the factor 1.2, after calculating the BMR, the total will be 2094 as an example. So there are so many strategies for losing weight. Before we start, let's watch this quick video.
We all want to lose fat and stay healthy, but with all these diet pills and plans, what does science have to say about weight loss tips? Let's get the obvious out of the way first. Exercise. Not only does the physical act of exercise burn calories immediately, science has recently found that it continues to burn fat while you sleep. During exercise, your body uses up most of its available carbohydrates for energy and replaces them over the next 24 hours. In the meantime, it begins to break down your fat stores for basic functions such as walking, talking, and even sleeping. Don't skip meals, especially breakfast. We explained in our last video the science behind appetite. When you starve yourself, your body and brain create intense urges to eat high-calorie foods as opposed to healthy options. Breakfast specifically helps to keep blood sugar and hormone levels regular and gives your metabolism a boost to burn more calories through the day. Adding more protein and low-fat dairy to your diet helps as well. Protein induces a large release of the chemical PYY, which goes to the brain and suppresses hunger signals. Simply adding 10% more protein to your food can keep you full much longer. Low-fat dairy, on the other hand, contains calcium, which binds to other fats you've eaten and creates a soup-like substance which can't be absorbed. Instead, your body excretes this soup, and with it, more of the fat you consumed. Speaking of soup, it's perhaps one of the best kept dieting secrets. When you drink a glass of water with your meal, the fluid is easily absorbed before your food is digested, which quickly brings down the stomach size, making you feel hungry. Take that same meal and puree it in a blender, and the fluids have a much harder time being absorbed quickly. This means your stomach stays expanded, making you feel full for longer. Count your calories. Studies show that people who actively document their food intake by using a journal have drastic improvements over those who don't. Furthermore, knowing a coffee is 10 calories but a cappuccino is 100 gives you the opportunity to structure your diet to eat more while taking in less calories. And while it may seem trivial, reducing your plate size can drastically change your food intake. Studies show that a simple change from 12 to 10 inches can reduce the amount of food you eat by up to 22%. Our bodies have a hard time turning down food in front of us, even when we're full, so the less food on your plate, the better. Finally, sleep and stress play a large factor in how much we eat. Both sleep deprivation and stress levels increase appetite, making it harder to keep off the pounds. Got a burning question you want answered? Ask it in the comments or on Facebook.
So, bringing the most important strategies that really helps in losing weight, starting with fasting. Now, since we are in Ramadan, we know that Ramadan fasting is totally different than intermittent fasting. It's basically completely fasting from food and beverages. Yet, the timing is different also, comparing it to intermittent fasting. It has its benefit, of course, spiritually, indeed, but as well, it will definitely affect our health if it is being done or conducted in the proper way. Those who actually alter their meals and follow a healthier plan, usually during fasting and after breaking the fast, starting from iftar to suhoor, will definitely see the results influencing their health overall. So what happens is when you are fasting for a certain period of time, the body starts using its own storages for energy, as we know, because the food is the main source of energy. So this really helps for the body to control the weight. In terms of knowing what to eat, definitely we have to consider that after breaking the fast, we are definitely dehydrated. So we should aim always to rehydrate our bodies. We should always aim to fulfill our stomach with a good amount of protein and a good amount of fiber. This will make sure that we don't get any digestive, let's say, problem from constipation to bloating or acidity. Distributing the meals between iftar and suhoor, it could be 3 or 4 meals, smaller amount, giving a time for our stomach to eat and digest the food is very important after breaking the fast. If it is done correctly, we can see results apart from spiritual benefits, health benefits are there. Comparing it to intermittent fasting, which is highly recommended now based on a lot of scientific studies, it has not only shown the link between fasting and weight loss, it has also showed the very good impact on improving the blood glucose and blood sugar levels. While doing it correctly, I would emphasize that we should focus on our own calories recommended rather than the time that we skip the meals itself. So for example, if we are going to do the intermittent fasting 16 to 8 hours, we should be aware that in the times of eating, do not exceed the calorie that actually we are recommended to have. Also, we should make sure that our meals are distributed, and then not for the longer run. We also track our outcome in general. Once if we use it as a method for losing the weight, it should not be for longer than 3 months, so the body will adjust to this routine, and we will stop getting benefits from it. So I highly recommend that we incorporate it in our regular diet. If we are not during Ramadan, which is like we can do intermittent fasting once or twice in a week. This will actually help us or support us to maintain or lose weight. Another method is, as I mentioned earlier, knowing what you are eating, tracking the diet, and along with exercise, combining it with exercise is very important. So you will ensure that you are losing the fat and maintaining or sustaining the muscle mass. And in this way, you are improving your metabolism and making sure that the results will stay with you later on. You have to be mindful about eating. It is essential when the person pays attention to how and which location they have the food, the practices, the type or the quality of the food itself, and the way it's being prepared. So it's very important to ensure that the setting as well is comfortable and convenient. If we eat behind the screens, definitely it will make us or lead us to eat more. So a setting of while eating to be dedicated for meal time is very important, and in terms of weight management. That will make us pay attention to the amount that we are eating and control our portion size. We also can take a longer time, which is very beneficial for the digestive system, to take our time while eating. Very importantly, that from time to time that we should be cutting the total amount of carbohydrates and focusing on the complex carbs. As much as possible, we should avoid simple sugar and refined sugars, making sure that we still take the carbs that we need to support us for daily energy and for digestion, but half of our intake should be from whole wheat products or complex carbs. Carbohydrates, we know that are very easy to digest and directly can be converted to glucose, and it's released the hormone insulin that promotes the fat storage in the adipose tissue and leads to weight gain. So another trick can be, whenever we are consuming a meal that we know that it is rich in carbohydrates, we add on the side of it healthy fat options or a lean protein to slow the absorption and slow the breakdown of the sugar and the release of sugar. It is highly important to include a good amount of fiber. Women will need 25 grams per day compared to men that will need 35 to 38 grams of fiber per day. So if you are purchasing your bread, not baking it, make sure to read the food label and make sure that the fiber is 5% of your daily value. Adding more fiber, it can increase the feeling of fullness and it will help in losing the weight. Another example, as I mentioned earlier, of fiber, apart from the fruits and vegetables, dried fruits, and then pulses and nuts and seeds. Taking care of our gut health is very important, and it starts from there. Weight loss actually starts from there. If we don't have a good bacterial background, gut bacterial microbiome, and the good digestion system in overall, this will definitely influence our weight. So it's very important to ensure that we consume some of the foods that are naturally containing the bacteria that boost the bacteria in our gut. Probiotics and prebiotics are found mainly in yogurt, fermented, for example, pickles, miso soup, kefir, and we can also prepare it at home if we don't prefer to consume it as a pill. Once we have a good digestive system, the food will be digested as it should be, and we start preventing other health problems. Not to forget that we have to put a routine or a habit for being active, not only exercising. Daily activities are different from exercising. We have to have at least 20 to 30 minutes weekly of weight-bearing exercise to sustain our muscle mass, to prevent our bones from being deficit in calcium. It will help our body structure in general while we are losing the weight. It will tighten up our skin. It will improve our stamina, and overall, it will influence definitely our health status, mental status, and make our lifestyle more healthier. Weight loss is not solely about the diet and exercise, as I mentioned. It also requires a shift in the mindset and the behavior. Support is very important. The physiology of weight loss addresses motivation, self-control, goal setting, and stress management. We have to set a goal. We have to have a group of support group. Look for the answers if we have from any doubt or question from professionals to help guide you in a proper way. And it is very essential to mention that if you are not having enough hours of sleep, your metabolism will be affected. Adults will require from 6 to 8 hours daily. The hormones will not be balanced if we do not sleep well at night. Some other factors may influence our sleep, yes, like vitamin D deficiencies and maybe hormonal problems or some medications, but there is always solution for everything. Seek advice from your health provider and make sure that you are sleeping enough, and as much as possible, reduce the stress factors. Stress will increase cortisol level, which sustain your weight and will make it very difficult to lose later on. Find some ways to release your stress. It could be with meditation, it could be yoga. Exercising is one of the ways to release the stress, and make sure that you focus on your health and nothing else matters. Weight loss journey can benefits from professional guidance. Here comes the role of dietitians and other health providers. As itself, the weight loss emphasize the importance of the evidence-based recommendations and individualized approaches. Not everything applies for everyone. Sometimes, yes, it is very common to see certain strategies that will help among most of the people, but again, if there is any health concern or health problem relying behind that, we have to seek the advice to get a proper results, proper changes. And eating healthy by having healthier food, balancing the calories is the best way to maintain the weight. Yes, it is. And we should always make sure that we are adding all food groups, not focusing on one of the food groups, making sure that we're having enough protein, enough calories as we need, and exercise from 150 to 300 minutes weekly. So to sum up, achieving sustainable and healthy weight loss requires a comprehensive understanding of the science behind it, and by incorporating these evidence-based principles into one's lifestyle, definitely the individuals can embark into on a weight loss journey that promotes the long-term success and all-over well-being. These are my references. I'm very happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Ruba, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, your presentation is something that anyone who is serious in wanting to lose weight must certainly listen to. That is true. But it is also a gem for us professionals who are involved in weight loss to listen in too, because you spoke about so many relevant aspects. And the video that you put up said it all in a minute or two. It was very well selected, very well selected. You know, I'm also delighted, of course, that you drew the connection between lifestyle and weight loss. And I'm always deeply grateful to anyone who talks about lifestyle change as a means of enhancing good health, because as Dr. Wilku will tell you, Arabian wellness and many of us in the field of health and lifestyle have spent an entire lifetime promoting the relationship between lifestyle and health. And I am always grateful to professionals who see the relationship. Ruba, thank you so much. That was an excellent presentation and will remain in my library for reference. Thank you so much. Dr. Wilku, sir, I'm sure we have several questions.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. First of all, thank you, Dr. Ruba, for a well and comprehensive presentation. That was really interesting. Many things you have put in a very systematic way so that it's very easy to understand. Still, people have queries every time whenever we have some event, whenever we are having webinars, even your previous sessions also, there are many questions because people are very confused what we have seen. Like today, we have a topic which is related to weight loss diet during Ramadan. So my first question also comes into that. Orhan is asking, in Ramadan, there is already a less food intake. What should we consider to have a good health while losing weight?
It's a good question. Just to re-clarify what I've mentioned in the slides. Yes, in Ramadan, we are fasting. There is a limited time period that we eat in. But considering the type of food that we are taking, we have to know and how much we are consuming. So it's not about the amount of the food. It's also about the amount of calories that inside the food. We can have 1 or 2 meals that are very high and rich in calorie. Same time, we can have so many food items that are very less in calories. So understanding the caloric content of the food is very important. When we fast during Ramadan, if we have little or less of the food that we have used to, comparing it to what we used to eat before Ramadan, we will see a result on weight. We will lose weight. But making sure that this type of food is combined, having different food groups and properly distributed, that we are providing our body with the fats, the protein, the most vitamins and minerals, and hydration, very important, starting drinking the fluids and replacing all the fluid lost during Ramadan, we will sustain our health definitely. Now, other people with health problems or health conditions like diabetic patients and hypertensive patients, they have to seek advice. They have to see if they are able to fast or no. And then we as professionals, not precisely saying dietitians, all health providers, we will give them the best advice according to their case. So I cannot emphasize that each person will have the same the same things to follow, but this is where it's the importance relies on seeking advice from professionals. Thank you.
Yeah, true. Not a single tip is suitable for everyone. Everyone has an individual acceptance. Okay, great. Sana has asked, generally it is said to consume low calorie for weight loss. Does it mean eating less? What exactly is the low calorie diet? Just now you mentioned, this is a very confusing question every time we come across.
Yeah,
What
so
is low calorie and what is difference between
less
less
eating, less
eating?
calorie. So we have to first understand how much calorie is needed accordingly. As I mentioned and I showed in my slides, we have to know how much calorie we need, and based on that, if we have what is the percentage of the weight that we have in excess, if we are obese or if we are overweight, it depends on that. So a low calorie diet can be less than what actually we need, but not to a point that it is way less that it will affect our health in general. So very low calories means less than 50% of the calories recommended by or needed by us to sustain our daily energy needs. That is unhealthy. We can call it deficit calorie. Okay, so we usually start with the amount that we need, because if we have gained weight, it means that we are taking more than calories that we need. So start with consuming the proper amount that your body needs. And then if we don't see a results with that, combined with exercise, we start reducing, but this has to be also discussed with your health provider, that they will give you the proper ratio. Yes.
Yeah, true. There is one interesting question. Tanusha Sharon has asked, should women time their intermittent fasting according to the weeks of menstrual cycle, given that the hormones are fluctuating during the period? And any specific health tip for hypothyroidism people?
Okay, so coming to the first question, actually during the menstrual cycle already there is disturbance in the hormones that even if you go on diet you might not see a result, and then you can definitely affect your health. Our immunity is affected by having less calories, less food, and we can also be dehydrated. So I don't advise to link the fasting with the time of menstrual cycle, rather than having a proper meal, proper calorie intake, proper food as the body needs. You should be on a good quality food to be provided with the essential vitamins that will sustain your energy during that time of period. Now, coming to the second question, if there is any tips for the weight loss for patients with hypothyroidism. Now we know with thyroidal problem, hormonal problem, it put us under challenge for weight loss. But this doesn't mean that we cannot be successful, or we cannot succeed in that. We just need to understand how our body reacts accordingly. So some people actually with hypothyroidism, they improve by following properly the diet that they should be. We know that the certain food they should be avoiding. Exercise is very beneficial. At a time where diet cannot give you the 100% result, you have to increase your exercise and look into other solutions. So make sure that you are exercising, increasing your physical activity, and avoiding the food that influence the work of your medication if you are on any, or the food that are actually increase the release of the hormones or reduce the release of the hormones. Yes.
Yeah, that was good. Sneha has asked, see, this is very interesting thing to know, because people are Googling out everything. So there are various forms of weight loss diets in internet. What is the safest and effective diet? Very interesting.
Yeah, as I
Googling
mentioned,
out.
there is no specific safe diet. See, there is plenty of diets. If we go into social media, it will be like you will not be, it will not be enough to decide what type. As I mentioned, you have to consider everything in your going to your health status, medical conditions, medical history, weight status, physical activity, daily routine, and lifestyle. Then we give you the best option. Being on a balanced diet, the varied diet is the best what you can do at a time, until if you want further advice from us, we can, depending on all the other factors that I've mentioned.
Yeah, true. Tanusha has asked a question. She seems to be little concerned about her health. Everyone should be. What she's saying, this challenge is for 12 weeks. I would like feedback from Dr. Ruba as well as Professor Kennedy both. So this challenge is for 12 weeks, and getting weight loss will lose skin, means the sagging skin will be there. How to prevent or minimize the loose skin? Dr. Ruba, according to your dietitian part.
Yes, see, when it comes to losing weight, people that are with higher BMI tend to lose faster or more weight. And if it is not combined initially, if it is not combined with exercise, it will not be a healthier, let's say, weight loss. So you have to increase the physical activity to sustain your muscle mass, and this one itself will prevent the losing skin. You can also do some sauna or some let's say other strategies that will tighten the skin itself. But if you hydrate yourself efficiently, properly follow a balanced diet and exercise, it should not be an issue for you.
Yeah. Professor, your view for exercise part on this, prevent losing skin.
You know, I was absolutely delighted with the answer that Ruba gave. Absolutely delighted. She says it better than I could have said it myself. The question is, I am worried about sagging skin. Now, sagging skin, obviously, the concern is I lose weight, I lose fat, and therefore my skin will be sagging. But Ruba has the perfect answer. And her answer is, but if you exercise as you are supposed to during weight loss, your muscle mass will increase, and as a consequence, your skin will not sag. I believe that is a perfect answer. In addition, if I may add just a wee bit, I would suggest what we Indians do at least once a week is we have an appropriate oil massage. Now, that keeps the skin a little fluid, it keeps the skin flexible, it enables the skin to look much better. But I'll stay with my primary statement that nobody could have given a better answer than Ruba. Thank you very much, Ruba.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Professor. It was nice gesture of giving an answer. Great. There is interesting question. Is Ramadan time on Google? There are many ways making it more confused. Wait to eat first, wait last. Can I know the best way to? Actually, the question is very confusing.
I
So
think that they are asking about what to start with after breaking the fast. What to eat first and what to eat last. So usually,
yeah, true.
traditionally
Please.
people will break the fast with water and dates. And we usually, as I mentioned, advise for making some time for giving some time for the stomach to rest by finishing later on, let's say the soup or the salad, which is preparing the stomach for the main meal. In this way, little by little, you're giving chance for the stomach to start up the digestive problem, and you will prevent overeating later on the iftar meal itself. It's very important to divide your meals after breaking the fast to suhoor. It doesn't mean that you just want to eat now everything. Give some time for the stomach to realize that we started eating. You can start with water. You can start with food that are fibrous and again rich in water, like the dates, like the salad, are rich in water and in fiber. And then you can take your main course. Doesn't mean it's not necessarily to have it at a time. You can give a time of 30 minutes or 40 minutes and you can resume the rest of the meal. If you feel full, you shouldn't force yourself to finish the meal. Break it into several portions, and then make sure that you are hydrating yourself from iftar to suhoor, consuming enough water. Yes.
Yeah, true. Vishant has asked, can we use brown sugar once a day, or is it compulsory not to use any form of sugar?
In terms of calories and effect, it's the same, Vishant, from white sugar and brown sugar. It's the way it is being processed. So if you are aiming to cut the sugar, it means cutting the simple sugar in all its ways. Again, even fruits are considered sugar, but this is natural sugar, not processed sugar. So in total, if you want to cut the total amount of sugar, yes, you should avoid it, or at least minimize it, or alternatively use it. But yes, as I said, but if you are focusing on the calories, it's another scenario also. There's another scenario in that. So make sure that you are knowing the total consumption of yourself and what is your aim.
True, true. Visitra has asked, can you suggest any exercise? Okay, that we will be talking later on. And any diet plan for hypothyroidism patients? Before you go into Ruba, so I will just add one point. Next session will be from our endocrinologist. She'll be talking about all endocrines and glands who are responsible for hormonal channel. Being thyroid a master gland, it has some responsibility in every physiology in the body, and she will be the right person to tell more about what is the plateau and what is the resistance created for thyroid people to lose weight. But for that part, Dr. Ruba.
Looking into the recent studies, Dr. Wilco, we are advising our patients to reduce or minimize the sugar, the gluten containing food, and lactose. It has shown that it has a link between gluten and content in the food with hypothyroidism and weight in general. Having your dose or medication also at the same time if you are on, it's very important. Limiting your caffeine intake, in general, exercising, and avoid goiterans or cruciferous vegetables. For those who are having hypothyroidism, it's recommended, like soy products, almonds, cabbages, and all. It has shown, based on studies from long time ago, that it is negatively affects the mechanism of a thyroid when you are having hypothyroidism. So along with that, you have to also follow a proper caloric diet advised, as per advised, based on your weight. So in this way, with exercise, you will lose weight.
Yeah. So another question Shafika has asked. I will add one part into it because Vishitra and Shafika has one point of question for the exercise. Next section is Dr. Hala's the endocrinologist. After that, we'll be having an exercise specialist who will be teaching about the different formats of exercise. But in this part, Dr. Ruba, she's a new mom. Shafika is a new mom. After pregnancy, it is difficult for her to lose weight. Now she is fasting during Ramadan and is taking less food. Still, she feels difficult to lose weight. And she's not on any medication. So your suggestions and advice, please.
And as a mom, we know that after pregnancy, your hormones are totally different than during and before pregnancy. So that time usually you may be gaining or maybe have gained a lot of fat. So when any person who's having difficulty in losing the weight, even with the calorie deficit diet, we advise to look into their body composition and analyze how much they have fat and how much muscles, and try to work on boosting the muscles, as it will help in increasing the metabolism. Now, going into a walk sometimes alone or exercising might not be enough if you are not eating proper amount of protein. So the muscles to grow and to sustain it, you have to have enough protein to cover your body needs. Maybe that is lacking in your diet. Maybe the diet is imbalanced. I cannot comment, I cannot give you like a full view unless we go deep into your habits and your history itself. But I know, give it some time, your body is still recovering post-delivery. So the hormones will take some time to change. And if you are breastfeeding, the lactating mothers, they have fluctuations also in the hormones that definitely will affect their fat composition in the body. And again, fasting itself changes or influence also the weight. So give it some time. Your body has increased certain amount of weight in a certain 9-month period. So at least give it 1 year, usually to 2 years, until your weight comes back perfectly as it was. So make sure that you know what you are consuming and what kind of food and how much calorie you are consuming.
Yeah, true. Jaspreet has a concern. She has PCOD and it makes her difficult to lose weight. She is trying her best, but still she is failing to lose weight. And second part of the question is again for that will be related to Dr. Hala, endocrinologist. That will be taken care next session. But for diet, for the PCOD patients, what do you suggest?
Patients with PCOD usually are highly sensitive to insulin. So it's typically they might have difficulty, yes, in losing the weight, but they will benefit by improving the sensitivity and working on that by exercising again and going into a diet that is plant-based, or let's say plant-friendly, more vegetables, limiting foods that influence the hormones, making sure that they are having enough of omegas, vitamin D, and berberine, adding berberine in the diet. This will definitely start influencing the weight loss journey in patients with PCOD.
True. Yeah. So from there, we have almost finished the questions. So I have received many questions, but I will take one which is very interesting, related to your topic as well as the previous topic by Professor Kennedy also. What is the best diet to sustain weight loss during Ramadan? Dr. Ruba, in 3 lines.
To sustain weight, make sure that you have enough protein and balanced diet. We can refer to two very good diets that are actually evidence-based: the Mediterranean and the DASH diets. It emphasizes on lean protein, healthy fat, cutting back sugar, simple sugar, and a lot, including a lot of a variety of fruits and vegetables. If you make sure that your diet is efficient in terms of nutrients, it has variety, and it is balanced with portion control, then you will make sure that you will benefit definitely during Ramadan from this kind of diet.
Yeah, true. So questions are finished, but I will just address 2 points for this. One participant has asked to see the last slide. All the participants after the webinar, after 24 hours of the webinar, you can watch the recording of all webinars what you have. You have your login ID and password to the weight loss challenge dashboard. Log in there. You can watch the recordings, and whatever you have missed or you want to review, you can watch it there. And second point, Liana has asked, is there any alternative way to produce the weight certificate instead of going to the clinic? So I think she's a virtual participant, and yes, you can go to Dr. Nutrition clinics, centers, anywhere in UAE. And when you are taking the certificate, they release a certificate. When you are uploading the certificate, just keep your Emirates ID onto it so that it proves it's yours, because many of the time they don't enter your name. So it has to be there, and take a photo of that, and then you can upload it. From my side, everything is covered. I would, before I hand over to Professor Kennedy, I would justly, humbly, and very strongly thanks Dr. Ruba for, she was not well for last 3-4 days, and during Ramadan she's not able to speak properly. Even I was very concerned whether she will be not able to take the class. Thank you, Dr. Ruba, for a wonderful session, and hats off to you. Over to you, Professor Kennedy.
Thanks to you all. Thanks everyone, and wish you all the best. Wish you all the best.
And add my thanks to Dr. Wilkus. Thanks, Ruba. Thank you so much for this presentation and all the presentations you make. I absolutely love your interpretation of dieting and nutrition. I think it is based on solid scientific facts and a great deal of a great deal of experience. I'm extremely impressed with the answers. Thank you so much. Dr. Wilku, thank you. Thank you for putting these webinars together. I have to thank our audience for participating in these webinars and participating in the Weight Loss Challenge. I have to thank the back-end team for putting up these webinars every week, the marketing team for making the brochures, the Arabian Wellness and IT teams for supporting it technologically through computer systems. And of course, I noticed that we have Uh, well, Dr. Wilco has mentioned that we have another webinar on the 14th of March, and I look forward to being part of that webinar also. Thank you so much and have a great day.